Yo, welcome back to another weekly meeting of our Albumholics Anonymous. My name is Andy, and as always, I have a problem.
And my name is Aurelio, and I also have a problem.
So I want to touch on something first for anybody who's listened to the last. First off, I want to talk about how that I just am terrible at pronouncing names. It is, I just, every time I play D&D and I got a DM, can't pronounce anybody's fucking name. So I called this band Savatage.
Yeah,
No idea why.
I don't know where you got that end from.
And then when somebody said it to me, I had one of those biggest, like, oh my God, I'm an idiot moment. So this band is called Savatage, which makes way more sense now when I look at it.
Yeah.
But like I said, my ability to pronunciate things, I can't even say that.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, when you said this band and when I started listening to them, I looked them up on Google. I typed in Savatage because I'd never heard of these guys, and it showed up as like some industrial manufacturing company. I'm like, this can't be right. This can't be right. And then I, eventually found it. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, so that's to anybody else who actually want to try to get a jump start and listen along, my bad. Maybe we'll just have Aurelio pronounce all the bands going forward.
Oh God. Yeah. Whatever works, man.
Megadeth, that's our favorite band, right?
Yeah, Megadeth.
Yep, that Christian rock band everybody likes. Well, anyways, should we get into Savatage?
Yes, we
Actually,
shall.
hold on. You know when I really knew I was wrong? Is when I looked up their Wikipedia page and it said not to be confused with Savatage. And I was like, oh, God, I am wrong.
You're like, oh, fuck. I did mess up.
Anyways, to get into
Savatage.
Start off with what? The first album, Sirens?
First album,
Sirens.
Album.
What year are we looking at here? Early 80s, right? 1982?
Yeah,
3?
Really early, 1983.
Yeah.
Super early here.
Man. I gave this album a B.
All right. Why'd you give it a B?
Honestly, I mean, I'll start off with what's kind of a trend for Savatage. Yep. Mm-hmm. Savatage they had a lot of killer riffs.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like on Sirens title track and On the Run.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, his riffs on those songs were just killer. Also, I just thought this was a really solid debut album.
Yeah.
I did think the bottom half though of the album was
a
little weak. Not bad really, but I mean it is a debut album, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I thought that was really kind of cool, maybe a little strange, this album, for American metal at this time, this album is really, it's non-existent. But it's really heavy than anything you would have found from an American, even just band. Like it's heavy and
yeah.
I also thought it was kind of cool that this album was recorded and mixed in one day.
Oh really?
Yeah, one day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Imagine going in the studio. You record like 8 songs, you mix them all,
yeah,
and you go home with you. That's your whole album.
Yep, ship it out.
And you know what did show from that though? Is that I thought the bass drowned it out a lot.
Did it?
Of the instruments. That's what I thought. Well, not maybe a lot of the instruments, but definitely the guitars at times where it was just poorly mixed. And again, if you do it in one day,
yeah,
you're gonna
not gonna have a lot of time to really.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a solid album. Like I said, Sirens and On the Run were probably my 2 favorite.
Okay.
Maybe Holocaust, I think it's on this album too.
Yeah, Holocaust, second track.
I just forgot to put that down. Man, once you listen to they got 11 albums, you kind of forget the names of some of the songs if you don't write them down. Yeah. But no, I mean, I thought this was a pretty solid album. It's different from what we'll get to later from them, but
completely different.
Yeah, and it's just different too for their time period. What'd you think?
So I also gave this album a B, and definitely an 80s sounding.
Oh, for sure.
Just the way the guitars sound, the way the vocals sound, which honestly I wasn't a huge fan of the vocalist. I don't know what it was. It's just his pitch or something. I don't know really how to describe it. I just wasn't a huge fan. But I thought it was a really strong debut. I think Holocaust, I really liked that song. For some reason, when I was listening to it, I was listening to that riff. I was like, I've never heard a riff like this.
Right.
For some reason, it was just like weird, but it was heavy and it was, you know, kind of fast, and I don't know, just listening, all the metal that I've listened to seems kind of structured, and this one was just kind of like all over the place, which I really liked.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good. Really liked that song. This album actually has my favorite Savatage song on it, which, you know, it's not a good forewarning for later albums.
Not at all.
But Out on the Streets,
yeah,
is my favorite Savatage song, and I've listened to that song at least once or twice a day since I heard it, you know. So, and I don't know what it is. I think I kind of do know what it is. I really like just the way the guitars sound in this album. They're kind of slow and melodic. I like the lyrics and the story that he's telling, but I personally think that song has some of the best solos that the guitarist has done on all of their albums. Now that, it's just my opinion, you know.
No, and that's fair.
I'm not saying it's the most complex or the most technical or whatever, but just the way it fits with the song, and you know, especially the solo towards the end, I think it's an amazing solo. And the guitarist in question here is Chris Oliva.
Yeah.
And he had his brother John Oliva as the singer of this band. So,
apparently, they have a third brother. Imagine being that brother.
The one not in the band.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I really liked the album. It was, you know, strong, solid first run. You can definitely tell that it was recorded in one day. Now that you mention it, you know, I was gonna. And one thing I want to mention for me going forward with a lot of these albums is that I thought the bass was always an afterthought.
Yeah.
I almost couldn't hear it on a lot of songs, you know.
I just felt like, and just in the poor production, I just thought it kind of drowned it out at times. Not all the time, but there was times where I heard it and I was like,
you're like, whoa.
This could have been mixed a little bit better, but again, it's a one-day thing. Yeah. So talking about bass and then the brothers, I thought a pretty interesting thing I read was that when they started learning, that John had played guitar and Chris played bass.
Oh wow!
And then Chris was just so good at the guitar, John was like, "Well, I guess I'll just play bass." Imagine that your brother doesn't even play the same instrument, and he's just better at it than you. And it's
yeah.
Guess I'll just go play the bass then. I'll be the foundation of the band.
I was just gonna say, be the foundation of the band.
Oh, shout out to Metalocalypse.
Murder face.
First foundation of the band.
Oh my god.
There was a song later that made me think of Metaloc or Dr. Roxo in particular.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to that when we touch on to it. But all right, that brings us to their next album.
Yeah, the next album here, Power of the Night from 1985. So I gave this album a C.
Ooh.
This is kind of where I was feeling not so strong about Savatage for a little while. There was nothing really that stood out to me in this album. I feel like it was kind of a continuation of the style and everything, you know, heavy metal. They definitely had those really powerful solos from Chris, which dude is an amazing guitarist.
Oh,
going through all these albums, I'm like, this dude, I'm surprised I never heard of him before.
Yeah.
So
rest in peace.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, died a few years later than this, but yeah, he does a fantastic job on solos in general. But you know, it was just kind of more of the same. I didn't really feel like they changed anything, so it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a boring listen for me.
That's fair.
But I didn't think it was terrible, and that's why I gave it a C. So
I've always said C is like my middle of the road grade.
Yeah.
Even though it is towards the bottom of the scale, to me it's just the middle of the road.
Yeah. Some standout songs for me were Unusual and Hard for Love. I mean, they're really the only ones that I kind of remember. So, what did you think of this album?
I gave this album a B.
Okay.
I thought the intro song, Power of the Night, again, just has a great riff. Mm-hmm. He just kills it. You're right. he is a great guitarist, and I'm surprised more people haven't heard of him.
Yeah.
Or like even cite him as like an influence.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I don't want to. Well, maybe in North America, Savatage is bigger than Annihilator. But then you see more people citing Jeff Waters as a huge influence, and rightfully so. I'm not taking anything away from the man.
Mm-hmm.
But
we're just surprised that
like
we don't
such
hear
a good,
from this guy. Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of the chorus on the song Warriors either.
Yeah, why not?
That was kind of the lower point of the song. I did like it, but the chorus was just him saying Warriors pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
I also thought the mixing on this album was better than the first.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only album I'm going to touch on that because, well, maybe I think of the next one too, but just these first 3 albums feel like they're definitely lower graded, and I think that had to do
just because
with
it's
the
their
producer
earlier stuff.
That too, yeah. But look, this is kind of understandable when I say the title of the song, but it had some weird lyrics, and that would be necrophilia.
I was just gonna say, I was like, yeah, you're talking about necrophilia, aren't you?
Instruments good, lyrics weird, and I think that was kind of a trend of early Savatage, was just he wrote some kind of cringy lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it kind of shows him growing as a songwriter too, right? But
yeah, I did like the riff on necrophilia though, but that was really all I liked. Is like, just make it an instrumental, it'd be a lot better.
Speaking of cringy lyrics, what a transition, huh?
Yeah, right.
It sounded like a Kiss song to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I think you might have an idea, and that would be Hard for Love.
Yep.
But the guitar is amazing.
Yep, that's what I put. I really liked the sound, the riff and everything like that. So,
In the Dream, not a bad song. Really sounds out of place, not only on this album, but its position on the track list of Dead Last.
Yeah,
just is like 100 to 0. Like, again, not a bad song.
What happened? Like,
one cool fact about this album was that it was produced by Max Norman, which nobody's gonna know of unless you're really deep into it.
Yeah.
But the only reason he's on the Wikipedia page for this album is because he went on to produce Countdown for Extinction.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like,
only good work.
Megadeth.
Megadeth, yeah.
I mean, Megadeth, if anybody hasn't got the joke yet. I just thought that was kind of cool. But, no, I mean, that kind of sums up. Solid follow-up album to the first one. Guitars carried it. Lyrics cringy.
Which I think, as long as Chris was alive, the guitars carried pretty much all their albums.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just in my opinion.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, on to their next album here,
which is Fight for the Rock.
Fight for the Rock
with its
1986.
Not a great album cover.
Yeah, I think it's them like with the flag.
Yeah, it's them on Iwo Jima. Yeah. Raising the flag.
God.
They did say they regret it, which is funny because not only do they regret the picture, they regret this entire album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I did read about this album because it was awful.
It was bad.
It was awful, and that's why I read up on it. And I think what they said in there was that their record, some of these guys were writing and producing songs for other bands.
John was writing and producing songs for other bands.
And then the record label pressured them to come out with a commercial album, something that they can sell.
Well, they took
radio.
They also wanted to take some of those songs that he was writing for other artists and then turn them into Savatage songs, which didn't really work. What'd you give it?
So this is the first D that I have given on this podcast.
Seriously?
Yeah. And it is rightfully so. This album just seemed all over the place. I didn't think it was consistent with really anything. Their second song on here, Out on the Streets, is a cover
of their first song.
Yeah, of my favorite song from the first album. It's awful. They cut 2.5 minutes off of it. They made it sound, it's definitely more polished, but I really like that unpolished sound that it had from the first album.
Yeah, because I have a note about that too in here.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know. They had like a sappy pop love song on here, Day After Day. Like, what was that?
That's a cover, you know that, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's oh my god, it's off the top of my tongue. My dad's gonna be upset. I don't know this off the top of my head.
Yeah, like Hyde was kind of okay. I mean, it really, I don't know.
Oh, it's Badfinger. Maybe he won't be upset. Maybe he will. I don't know.
Badfinger. I only know one song by them.
And I'm surprised not Day After Day because that's a really popular song.
But I mean, I didn't like a single song off this album.
Oh, it's fair.
It was the guitar was still solid. I mean, that was the only thing that I could say is redeeming about this album is just listening to Chris do his riffs, you know, and solos and stuff. But songwriting and cheesy lyrics and it's just no. What did you give?
Well, it's funny you say that Chris was the only part that brought this album up because that's the only thing that saved this album from being a D for me as well.
From being a D,
I gave it a C.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, the band views this album as the worst, and honestly, I don't see why.
Yeah, I think you were saying that they don't even when they released this album, they didn't play a single song.
I think Hyde is like the only song they play off it. Yeah, but even they were like, ugh.
Yeah.
This album too came out and it just kind of killed the trajectory that they had going on.
Mm-hmm. And
I wrote down too, like I can see why a lot of fans would have viewed this as like a sellout moment. You know, because I mean that's what it sounds like, right? Like.
Yeah, like they're just trying to be mainstream.
Doesn't sound like any albums that came before it, and it doesn't sound like a Savatage album. Yeah, there are parts, like I said, that sound like prior Savatage moments, but there's not full songs. There's just like
parts, bits and pieces. Yeah,
and honestly, I put down here, "Out on the Streets" and "Crying for Love" just feel like pop rock songs, but with heavy metal guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, like they did cut down and make it more commercial friendly for Out in the Streets.
Yeah.
I had Day After Day as a weird song to cover, yet oddly fitting for this album, because it's
just the album's weird.
Yeah. Also, The Edge of Midnight. Why is that song not the opening to this? It makes no sense. It has a great opening. It builds into the song. It's probably maybe one of the better songs off the album, which is not saying much. But it's like fourth on the track list. It's like, just put that first and open the album with something. But
yeah,
I don't really have that much to say about this album, other than it was not good, and I see why nobody likes it.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't give it a D.
Honestly, the guitar work
held it up.
I didn't give any D's at this band, but that shouldn't be surprising.
Okay.
A couple C's, but
yeah. But yeah, on to their next album here.
Thankfully. Which is what I'm sure they were saying when they released this album. Right. On to the next one.
Hall of the Mountain King from 1987.
This feels like an 80s metal album.
Definitely. 80s power metal.
This is definitely power metal.
Mm-hmm. What did you give this album, man?
Well, I'll tell you what, since we're on the power metal thing, my last note is power metal is kind of the shit. So I gave this album an A.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But this is the one album of them I knew coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, and I already liked it. So, this album does feel like they finally put it all together and really show what they're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
It's different from what's coming up, but it still shows them growing, and it's just all together.
Yeah,
I thought the bass line I think just the bass line, even in the solo or just on 24 Hours Ago, is great. And it's really the first time you can say that about a Savatage song where the bass really stood out.
Yeah, there were not that many.
Beyond the Doors of the Dark is probably my favorite song on this album. Okay. And it really shows John's vocal range, I think, which I still think John's a really great singer. I know that singing stuff isn't going to be for everybody, but I really like singers.
He like has a wide range. Like, he can do the lower stuff. He can do the really high pitches and stuff like that, too. So,
and I like singers that can hit some like that are more in their range. I mean,
like Dave.
Like Dave. No, I mean Dave can hit, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I know.
But I was gonna say like Dio and Bruce Dickinson. Those are two big singers I like. I mean, you could even put Robert Plant in there, right? Those are just Elton John. I mean, those are singers that I like that can hit that. So I'm more partial to singers that are like that. This album did away a lot with the cheesy lyrics of the original one or the prior ones, and focused a lot more on fantasy, which is a core tenet of power metal.
Yeah.
And man, this album really shows what a good producer can do for a band.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the producer they're going to work with for the rest of their career. I'm pretty sure he produces every album from here on out. Paul O'Neill is his name, and I think he could just be just a member of Savatage at this point.
At this point,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really. I mean, Prelude to Madness and All the Mountain King are just a great 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I really like this album. Strange Wings, great song. White Witch, great song. I mean, I just think they've really just put it all together and knocked it out of the park here. What'd you think?
So I went the opposite way with you. I gave it a C+.
Fair enough.
And the thing for me is power metal ain't my thing.
That's what I figured.
And there's nothing necessarily wrong with power metal. It's just I don't know. I just don't like this. I think it's just singing style kind of. But I mean, I liked the guitar work on this album. You know, I'm gonna say that consistently throughout these next few. I think it's fantastic the work that he did on here. My standout songs were Prelude to Madness and Hall of the Mountain King. But on Hall of the Mountain King, I did not like it when he was doing that
come on. That's like one of my favorite parts of the whole song.
I did not.
It's an amazing vocal part.
I suppose. I mean, I listen to that song. I'm like, yeah, this song is good. And then it gets to that part, and I'm like,
I love
just
that
kind
part.
Of like, is it done yet? You know. And then it gets back, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, it's pretty good. And take that song out, you know, this album would be a B+ for me. Like,
what?
Yeah.
Take a Hole of Mountain King out?
No, just that one part of that song.
That one part is holding back a whole letter grade?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Because I think this is the standout song on this album. The title song.
It is, yeah.
And that's why.
Man. I can't believe that one section of that song.
I just don't.
Knocks it down a whole grade.
Yeah, I just don't like it, man. It's just.
Ooh.
I tried to listen to it. Tried to listen to it twice on the way to work today. Once while I was at work, and I was just like, I just do not like that. It just ruins the song for me. It goes from a really good song that I would love to listen to just like, ugh.
I'm surprised, not that you don't like it, but that one,
just like such a
maybe
significant
10 seconds, 15
such
seconds,
a significant,
knocks it down a whole letter grade.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I think when you have an album that has, you know, the title track on it, it has to be one of the standout songs. You know, it doesn't always have to be. In this case, I feel like it is because it's such a highly regarded song by them.
I mean, yeah.
So, you know, just for me, and
I just can't. It's crazy that it knocks down a whole letter grade. Not that you don't like it. I respect that opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, the rest of the album for me was just kind of okay. That's. You know, it's not going to go up.
I'd like to hear some other people's opinions on that section too. So, after us talking about this, like,
I mean,
what does everybody else think about it? Like, does it knock it down for you?
Yeah, the dude can definitely hit those high notes, and it's not an easy thing to do. I'm not saying that, but it just, for me, I think it ruins the song.
Okay.
I don't know.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd like to hear what some other people think, though. That would be interesting.
But you know, this album is pretty short. I think it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 it has 9 songs on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too short, but you know, I felt the rest of the album was okay.
Okay.
And I think Hall of the Mountain King was one of the standouts. And then, you know, that one piece of that song just ruins it for me. I can't listen to it. I don't maybe someday.
Maybe.
Down the road, I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, it actually wasn't as bad as I thought, you know.
I mean, I think on its own it would have been bad. But as it transitions into that laugh he does after, where, you know, it builds up. It builds up even. It's a section that builds up. Even with the instruments. And then if it didn't have that build into the laugh at the end, I agree that it would be definitely worse than a place.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think I mean, again, my opinion. There's different opinions, right? Like, I mean, I get that you don't like it. to me, I like that it builds up with the instruments,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just levels out and crushes into the rest of the song. 'Cause that should be right before the solo, even, I think, too.
Yeah, it is right before. He's a little after the middle section. But I don't know, man. That's just...
No, I mean, hey, we're keeping it 100, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of the album really didn't stand out for me, in my opinion, you know. Other than Prelude to Madness, I did like that. I think that was only like a 2-minute song or something,
right,
wasn't it? But I don't know.
Well, as long as we're keeping it, telling the truth.
Telling the truth.
Telling
here.
the truth.
Yeah. So.
Only white lies here.
Hot take here.
Yeah.
But all right, their next album here, Gutter Ballet.
Gutter Ballet.
1989. What did you give this album, Andy?
I gave this album a B.
Okay.
This is definitely a more theatrical sound from them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's definitely a prelude to what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
Now, admittedly, this sounds kind of like I'm 14 and this is deep. But I really like the lyric, I wasted my time till time wasted me, off the title track song to this album, Gutter Ballad. No,
okay.
Sorry, When the Crowds Are Gone.
Okay, yeah.
I did put that most of the songs were okay, and just that.
Mm-hmm.
Top half of the album, best part.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this album really shows to where Savatage starts moving towards the sound that would carry them and
to their later albums.
But I also thought that the songwriting on this album was just leaps and bounds better than anything, even Hall of the Mountain King, that they've done to this point.
Yeah.
Tracks I really liked are the title track, obviously, and When the Crowds Are Gone. Man, I've listened to that song a bunch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Again, I don't know. I really like the chorus again when he hits that. I wasted my time till time wasted me.
Mm-hmm.
I do get how it sounds like, you'd see some 14-year-old write it on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I still think it's good, and it's a good lyric too.
But yeah, I think that song's about just like the rock and roll lifestyle, isn't it? Kinda?
No, so it's part of the next album.
Okay.
It would that song technically should be on the next album because it's part of that story. So yes, it is part of the rock and roll because that's not to get ahead of ourselves, but it would fit.
Yeah.
On the next album instead of this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean I like that. The songwriting in that lyric or in that song was great. The way he sings it shows his vocal range a bunch. I mean, this shows them really starting to become more of a progressive metal band than it does them
previous band.
Power metal.
Yeah.
Also, I know you said you didn't like power metal, so I'll be honest, made me want to check out some more power metal. So.
Oh gosh.
So coming up is gonna be.
Yeah, we're gonna listen to some.
There's one band too. I know a guy who's gonna be real excited when I pick it. So, no spoilers yet though. Actually, 2 of my next 3 bands, this guy's gonna be really excited that I pick.
Okay.
And regular listeners, shout out to him.
Mm-hmm. All right. For me, I gave it a B. I thought it was a step up from the Hall of the Mountain King, mostly because I liked more songs on here.
Mostly because it wasn't a dude screaming going
honestly, I think Gutter Ballet, the title song for this album, I think it was a really good song. It was that song that signified the change that's going to come up with them, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
More of the I don't want to spoil anything, I guess. But
I know.
Yeah, it signifies stuff that's coming up with this band and the way they change in their music and style and stuff. I really liked Hounds. I thought that was a good song. Had some really good ass solos in it. And I like the Thorazine Shuffle was, a little weird song.
Yeah.
It's I was like, okay, whatever. Something different. I didn't like Summer's Rain.
No, I listened to that song again today.
Yeah, it's in their top on their Spotify.
Yeah.
And I was listening to it, I was like, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at with it too.
Yeah, I liked it, and it's a common thing with me when John's singing, but I'm not a huge fan of the way John sings.
No, and I get that.
So, I liked it until he came on. Yeah, I know.
I mean, I can't give you too much of a hard time bitching about vocalists. That's 90% of what I do on this podcast.
Yeah.
Is complain about how the fact people sing when I couldn't carry a note to save my life. But damn, do you suck at singing, bro.
Right.
No,
so I take some classes.
Yeah. You self-taught? No wonder, loser. No, so I mean, I get where you're coming from on like a singer isn't for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, music, what? Subjective, right? You like what you like.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I thought it was a strong album, and you can definitely hear the change that's gonna come with them pretty soon here.
Yeah.
Like on their next album.
For sure, their next album, which I'm real interested to hear what you gave.
All right. You want to go ahead and introduce the next album here?
The next album is Streets. It's technically a rock opera, but John hates that they had to add on a rock opera to the end.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense because it is based off of a play that the producer Paul O'Neill wrote, and then they turned into this album. And it is a concept album.
Mm-hmm.
It's 14 songs long. What'd you think?
So, when you first mentioned
the
this,
pen tap.
when you first mentioned this, that you're like, this band did a rock opera album, I was like, I don't think I've ever heard a rock opera, so I didn't know what to expect. But I was actually pleasantly surprised. I actually really like this. Is my at this point, this is my favorite Savatage album.
Okay. I thought you were going the other way.
No,
but you're right. Also, what metal band has ever released a rock opera?
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's definitely different. It tells a story of who was it, DT Jesus or something like that.
Either Downtown or Detox Jesus.
Yeah, and it's just a guy who lives on the streets, and then he like goes through some of the things that he experiences in life and stuff like that.
Yeah, he has a fall with like drugs and alcohol and all that, which is kind of crazy. That it mirrors what John's life ends up kind of becoming for a while.
I think they did this album really well. It's a complete change from what they've done, and I think they nailed it out of the park with this album. I really liked the first song. I really liked the chorus on that, even with his singing. I liked, the sound, just the way that it was, constructed as a song. I really liked that. Came out strong. I really didn't like Jesus Saves.
Which is funny because that's like the biggest song off of
Jesus Saves?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not like the chorus on that song. But my favorite songs on here, it was Streets, and then I really liked A Little Too Far, You're Alive, Sammy and Tex, St. Patrick's, like those 4 songs in a row. I was like, man, this album's, really good. I think it flows really well, tells that story really good. So, I think, on the Sammy and Tex song, I wrote that the dude, Chris, had some fantastic solos on this song. That dude can shred.
I still can't believe he's not a higher rated guitarist.
I know, this dude can shred. Like,
his every album, his guitar playing just gets better.
It gets better, faster, more complex, and you know,
more technical. Just oh my god, I can't believe he's not uttered with the names of some of the top.
Some of the top of all time. So, but yeah, I really like this album, and I really like the last song. I think that's my favorite song off.
Believe.
Yeah, Believe.
Yeah,
is my favorite song off
this
album.
That song is.
So, I think they knocked it out of the park with Streets, and it's one of my favorite Savatage albums.
I gotta ask, would you listen to the extended version of this album?
I don't think so.
Because, hold on, I want to look this up. It is. Oops. Oh, man, it's long.
Like, I probably did not then. This one, I think it was only like 50-something minutes.
Yeah, no, it's... I'm trying to pull up Wikipedia, which I gotta get away from. Here it is.
Holy!
It is 31 songs. Some of them are 22 seconds. There's but it's more. There's more talking, more narration, like that one song.
Yeah, like an actual opera type thing.
Yeah. It's like, what song is it? Jesus Saves, right? It has the talking at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more. It's a lot more like that. But that got cut for just because ain't nobody trying to release 31.
Yeah, that'd be like 3 discs.
Yeah. Yes, 2013 director's cut.
How long is that?
It doesn't even say.
Jeez.
But most of the things, like I said, the other ones are
like a minute here or there. Yeah, I did not listen to the extended version.
Yeah, neither did I, and I don't actually plan on to. But I did give this album an A.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, though, this album does just drag the fuck on.
Yeah. That was kind of what held me back from giving it an A. I really liked the songs, but the ones that were in between were just kind of like, okay, you know.
And I mean, you touched on this too, but the playing on this album is just top notch from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Even I'll admit that I liked some of the vocals on this album.
Yeah,
I think he did really well with that style of music, you know.
I think so. You didn't like the singer in this one, and I didn't like the singer in the last one, Cake. But I think with just John being just a better overall vocalist than Cake singer, it's easier for him to hit more range, right? So he can find more spots that you would enjoy. So I'm like, what I guess I'm trying to get at is that if you're a better vocalist, even if your singing style is weird, you'll still run into the right sequence at some point, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to hide. But no, I mean, I touched on this. I said you don't see many metal concept albums.
No. They usually stick to, just they're releasing songs on an album, not a whole theme.
And even if you do see metal concept albums, you don't see metal concept albums based on a play.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's that change is really nice.
Right.
I'm glad they went out of their way. I don't know if they kind of were like intimidated by it, or is this something that they always wanted to do?
I think it's always something they wanted to do. I mean, I think John was more into like that Broadway, and I won't spoil it yet, but I mean, kind of. But I mean, he goes on to do more of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this band spawns Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yeah.
So,
which we'll touch on a little bit later.
So I mean, it's what he does go on to do, and it makes sense. And I mean, like I said, the guy producing it wrote the play this is based on, and wrote some short story. He wrote another later one too. Mm-hmm. Honestly, too, and it tells a good story.
Yeah.
And a lot of the songs have a lot of emotional feel to them. Mm-hmm. Like the way he sings it, you know.
Yeah, you can feel what they're trying to convey there.
I said it was really hard to pick any top songs from it since it's a concept album. Mm-hmm. But I really like Strange Reality, Ghost in the Ruins, Jesus Saves, Somewhere in Time, and Believe. Mm-hmm. And I also kind of agree with you that this would be towards the top, if not their best album that they've released.
Yep.
Just due to the diversity of the songwriting and playing on this album. Like, it's just so top notch. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, you just hear the title, and I understand why John doesn't want a rock opera onto it, because it just kind of turns you off. Like, oh,
yeah, you're like, okay, I don't want to listen to an opera,
right? What am I about to listen to? Like Meatloaf, you know?
Yeah,
which turned out great for Meatloaf. Let's be honest, but I mean, I don't want to listen to an opera, but then, man, you listen to it, and just the story, and Chris is playing, and John's singing. It all works so well.
Yeah,
and the emotion in like a lot of songs, and especially Believe. Yeah, it's just really good.
Yeah, and that was my standout track on this song.
Like it really shows John's ability as like a vocalist and a singer. Like the high pitch isn't for everybody, but that man can sing.
He can do a wide range. Yeah, he can sing.
So I mean, if you're gonna check one album out,
check out Streets.
Check out Streets for sure. This album should also just get more recognition, just for how unique it is, and just the playing on it. It's just great.
Yeah.
I think it actually got turned into a Broadway play too.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, I don't follow Broadway, and neither do you. I don't think so.
No.
Well, anyways.
Yeah, on to their next album here.
Edge of Thorns.
1993.
This will be, sadly, the last album that features Chris playing on it.
That is true.
He dies in a senseless accident 6 months after his album released.
Yeah, I believe a drunk driver, right?
And a drunk driver that hits him crosses the road, and this guy had 7 other DUI convictions, and he's still on the road.
Yeah.
It's just, what a senseless way to lose. And I mean, just what else he could have made, right? Like, I mean, it's easy that his life isn't any more important than anybody else who would accept that fate.
Yeah.
But just for the fact of this, it's like, what more could he have wrote? Could he have ascended to higher? Would his name, if he doesn't die in 93, is he still a bigger name?
Yeah, bigger
guitarist. What'd you give this album?
I gave this album a B+, just like with Streets. And I actually really liked the new vocalist.
Yeah.
I thought, he didn't do a lot of the high notes and stuff, but
No.
I think he, just the way he sounded with these songs, is a lot more mid-ranged. I really liked the way he sounded. I can't pinpoint it, and I've been trying to figure it out, but he sounds like another vocalist.
Yeah.
That I've been trying to figure it out, and I can't. So maybe someday I'll figure it out.
I thought it was cool too that they replace singers because John wants to step away to focus more on the Broadway and the
and other things.
And then he hand picks this guy, and he still does write some of the songs on this album.
And I think he guest stars in a couple.
That's later.
Later on.
A few albums later. He's still a big part of the band, and there's an album he plays because he's a multiple instruments too, and anyways,
but yeah, I really liked, obviously, great guitars on this fucking album.
That's one of my notes too.
Yeah, it's just, it's really sad what happened with Chris.
Senseless.
But yeah, I like the vocalist change. I think the album took a more kind of hard rocky kind of turn, which I like. I like hard rock and stuff like that more than power metal. So, my favorite songs in this album, the title, I've listened to that song a couple times.
Oh yeah.
Since it's gone out, or since I've listened to this, Labyrinths, I really like that. It was an instrumental, but I really liked that album. I really liked Follow Me. Exit Music was a good one. I don't know why Exit Music was in the middle of the album. It felt like, it.
All right,
I think it.
Please stop listening.
Yeah, it sounded like an outro song. Conversation piece. I thought that was kind of funny. It was saving all whatever memories you have in your life,
right.
And then you only save them for when you're talking with somebody. Having tea or whatever, look at my life, and you bring up the same conversations over and over with new people.
It's true, yeah.
With new people. So, I don't think there was a single song that I actually didn't like on here. I liked all the songs. I thought they were well done. They were, okay. On other albums I'll have I did not like this song, or it was meh, it's forgettable, whatever. But this is an album that I would listen to again. I would listen to it all over. And I would probably end up liking more songs. So, but what did you think of this album?
It's funny as you were talking before I get into my grade.
Mm-hmm.
When you were reading your notes, I was looking at mine. I'm like, yep, check. But I gave this an A.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the switching singers, they didn't miss a beat.
Nope.
This still sounds like a complete package album from Savatage.
Exactly.
Like I said, I was checking off as you were reading. I said a return to more straight up metal than the last few progressive metal albums, and honestly, it fits really well with the new singer.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing you said.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the guitar work is just great. Again, same thing you said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything else to really touch on that.
I didn't say
that. You didn't say, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Edge of Thorns, He Carves His Stone, Conversation Piece, Damien, Miles Away. Those are all highlights.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. There isn't a song that I didn't like. I like those more than the others, but yeah, this was a good start to finish album.
Yeah, just overall, just a good listen through.
But it also did kind of suck going through, listening to, because I knew that this
was the last
album with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I don't know what more to say about the man than we already have been saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the new vocalist. You're right. He doesn't hit the same high notes as John, but his vocal range is just as good.
Yeah,
he sounds powerful when he sings.
Yeah.
He hits those notes.
Yeah,
hard and powerful, and he's more of a median,
he's not
well-rounded, all-around singer that fits well. But man, can the dude sing?
Yeah,
and
I think he's a perfect fit.
He was a perfect fit. John knew what he was doing when he handpicked him.
Mm-hmm. Which we should give out a shout out to him, Zachary Stevens.
Yeah, I knew his last name was Stevens. Couldn't remember his first name. Yeah, Zachary Stevens, man, he
does a great job on this album. Yeah, so
yeah, you ain't gonna check out Streets, don't listen to Rock Opera.
Check out Edge of Thorns.
Edge of Thorns would be the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, though.
Yeah, moving on.
Handful of Rain.
1994.
Man.
Uh-oh.
I just want to see.
All right, why is that?
Man, it really felt... so the guitarist they bring in to replace Chris in this album is one of my favorites.
He's one of my favorites, too.
He's Alex Skolnick. Testament, Trans-Siberian.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we both really like Testament, but yeah, the man is a great lead guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not Chris.
No.
And that's not a knock on Skolnick. But it really felt like they were trying to find a new sound without Chris. Like,
yeah.
And it wasn't there. It wasn't the Savatage and it wasn't the powerful, good technical riffs. And I'm not saying Skolnick's not a good guitarist. And two with the guy that they get, Hal Petretti, which as Megadeth fans we know.
Yeah, who he is
because he plays on
The World Needs a Hero. Yeah.
Oh.
I had to go back and check. I was like, I think it was The World Needs a Hero. But...
See that or System Has Failed, which...
No, it is The World Needs a Hero.
Okay, I was going to say it, because if it's System Has Failed, that's at least a step up.
Yeah, that one's Chris Poland.
That's right. That's when Poland's back. Him, he's a great guitarist too, but they're not on the same... They're not on the same level. I mean, Skolnick might be. As Chris was. Like, it's a difference between a great musician and a great songwriter, right? Like there's a reason those guys are on a bunch of different bands.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can play the guitar phenomenally. Some of the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not like a standout. They're never going to be a big name guitarist, because they can't make maybe they can, but all Chris's music he wrote at that point is killer. It's like half what we've talked about every album.
Yes, how amazing it is. Yeah.
But, and I mean, I'm gonna spoil a little bit coming up. I don't feel that way
going forward,
especially with this album.
Okay.
Like, I thought Skolnick did a great job playing. Man, I really hope that's how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah, I believe it's Skolnick.
Because I'm going to get roasted if I been saying it all these times wrong at this point.
Yeah.
Messing up the band name was bad enough. Oh, here we're checking out Savatage with Alex Scriverick. No, anyways. I mean, this didn't feel as much like a heavy metal album to me. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of ballads, I felt like, in this.
There were a lot of slower songs on here.
The only two songs I liked, I like Chance, and I like Castles Burning. But Castles Burning, this version, is not as good as Castles Burning, the acoustic version. It's not on an album. I can't figure out what album it's from, but there is an acoustic version of Castles Burning. I'll play it for you after we're done recording this, but yeah.
I think it's way better.
I think it's way better.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really want to give any. I didn't give any albums a D because I really like this kind of metal. So it was hard for me to go. Even though I still like the playing and the instruments, but the songwriting and structure of some songs, okay. I won't spoil what's kind of. I just don't want to touch the other albums. I'll touch on it at the end.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I thought. What'd you give it?
I gave it a B.
Ooh.
One, because I actually really like Alex Skolnick. And
yeah.
I think... I know Chris is an amazing guitar player, but I personally think that Alex is about just as good.
Yeah.
And I think he did... I don't think this album really was able to show off what he can do.
Right. When I was making that comparison about like great songwriters and great musicians, I think that's more towards Al Petretti.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, not a dig on him, but just a different,
style.
Like a lot of people, I mean, anybody realistically, right, with enough practice could pick up and play music, right? But it takes a certain somebody to write good songs consistently, and I think that's the difference I'm trying to get at, right? Like, anybody can learn to play the guitar at top rate.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Petretti wasn't writing like anything on Megadeth either. But he could play what Dave wrote him,
Mm-hmm.
and he plays really well in
Yeah, and he does
in later albums.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if he's on the same level as Chris as like a songwriting.
Yeah, yeah.
Where Skolnick, I would agree. So I just want to touch on that.
Okay.
I wasn't ripping on
Yeah,
Skolnick.
yeah. So I was like, he's one of my top.
Oh yeah, I love Testament.
Guitarists, you know. So
be a fun band to do too.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make that.
Yeah, yeah. But I did like the slower songs on here. I thought they were, you know, I'm a sucker for those really slow and melodic kind of songs. Mm-hmm. So, they really touched with me. I really like Chance. That was a good song. I also liked Visions, and that song when I was listening to it, there's another band that I like, Nightwish, and it reminded me of them. And then I was like, if they go more in this direction, I'd probably like this band a lot more. And Nightwish is what? It's symphonic metal.
It's symphonic power metal.
Yeah.
Because it's funny you say that, because that was one of the bands I was going to do.
Yeah. Which
and the guy we were talking about really likes Nightwish.
Yeah, I really like Nightwish. So
well, that'll be a fun band to do then.
Yeah.
Because I was going to pick that coming up.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to spoil it. But now, hey, I didn't know you like. I wasn't. Yeah. Like I said, guy I know too. Mm-hmm. Really likes it. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure he'll be excited to hear that we're going to do Nightwish at some point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought it was an overall, you know, a decent album. How do you really try to one up, two of the members pretty much left this band.
Yeah.
One of them not by choice, but, I don't think they had the same bass player or whatever, or even the same drummer. Oh, it is.
It's
okay.
the same bass player. I'm pretty sure.
You right after one of their founding members passes away, and then you have to come out with an album. It's like, how do you live up to?
Yeah, and maybe I fell a little bit into that trap when I listened to it. It was like, yeah, it's great, but man, what would it have been with Chris?
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe that's just the problem of following up. You're right.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I thought it was an overall, it was a solid album. It'd be middle of the road for me. So.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I was looking to see if it was. That's right, because this album's weird because it's credited to 4 guys, which is Stevens, Skolnick, Johnny Lee Middleton on bass, and Steve
Wackel.
I'm not sure. I don't even know. But the actual lineup is John Oliva on drums, bass, rhythm, lead, piano, keyboards, backing vocals, co-producer and co-lyricist. Paul O'Neill on rhythm guitar, keyboards, producer and lyricist. Stevens on lead and backing vocals, and Skolnick on lead guitar. So it's basically a 3-piece band.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy. Also, man, John can play a lot of instruments, and pretty well, actually.
Yeah, dude's a good musician.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't check out his other band yet, John Oliva's Pain, but.
Yeah, I haven't checked that band out either.
That would be as good. But all right, I mean, I think that pretty much sums up.
Handful of Rain. So yeah, on to their next album here, Dead Winter Dead.
That's where we get Al Petrelli.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. From 1995. This is before he joined Megadeth.
Yeah, because he leaves Savatage to go join Megadeth.
In 2001, I think.
Which,
right?
No offense, I would have left to go join Megadeth. Too. I'd have quit the biggest band in the world to go play in Megadeth. Yeah. We could have been the Beatles, not have been like, peace. See it.
Yeah.
Dave's calling.
Mm-hmm. So I gave this album another B. Mm-hmm. I liked that it was kind of more a rock opera album, and it, had more of that symphonic metal sound. I actually really like symphonic metal. There was a phase that I went through a couple of years. It's like all I listened to. So there's a bunch of bands that I love that are symphonic.
You have to bring some of those up. I liked it.
Yeah. I really liked the first 4 songs. It started off, I think it was just an instrumental. Mm-hmm. And then, it goes into Sarajevo, This Is the Time, and I Am. I really like those songs, the way they flowed. And this album, I think, is another concept album.
It is.
About Sarajevo in general, the city.
No. Yes. No. It's about the Bosnian War.
Oh, okay.
So, which Sarajevo is the capital of
Mm-hmm.
Bosnia.
And this is where I noticed the Trans-Siberian Orchestra sounds to it, because they actually have some songs on here. One song actually, Christmas Eve 12/24.
Yeah, so that song, this predates Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yep.
So that song has an unexpected hit off of this album for Savatage.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of go, well,
if it's such a big hit.
Well, not so much that. They're like, I kind of want, like John goes, I kind of want to explore more of that type of music. So him and Skolnick's on that too, and they go and they make Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and they re-record that song, and it's a big hit again.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. I also really liked Mozart of Madness. I thought that was really well done. Good instruments, good guitar playing on there. Dead Winter Dead. I really liked the solos at the end. One Child. I really liked, the change that they had towards the middle of the song and what they did for the rest of it. But overall, a strong, solid album. What'd you think?
So I reviewed this album a little differently than any album we've done so far. When I listened to it, I'll be honest, it wasn't like a song I really cared for, and I don't think I'll go back and listen to the album.
Mm-hmm.
I won't add any songs off this album to a playlist.
Mm-hmm.
But I gave this album a B.
Okay.
So, because while I didn't want to go back and listen to any songs or anything like that, the story this album told and just the playing were just so good.
Mm-hmm.
It was just top notch.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Streets level, but it was just really good. And I couldn't bring myself to give any lower, even if I didn't like any songs. It was just a really good, well-written, well-produced album.
Yeah.
And, I had to give it a B, because it wasn't just the middle of the road. I liked listening to it. Mm-hmm. It was, to me, it was like watching a movie you like, but don't love.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wow, that's a good.
Yeah.
And, you just kind of, one of those you leave the theater and go, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Will you go watch it again? Maybe not, but you did like it.
Maybe if it's on or something.
Yeah. I don't think there was a bad song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was any songs where I listened and went, ugh. It's just, this album just didn't really do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because it was slower.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. It's a lot of slower songs. Not that I hate slower songs, but just in what I was looking for out of Savatage as a band, maybe not there.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't actually listened to that much Trans-Siberian Orchestra. But I definitely see why it spawned, that band. But that being said, just well written, well produced, great album.
Mm-hmm.
Just not a second listen for me.
Yeah.
Great story too, actually.
Yeah, I didn't really look up the story revolving around behind it.
Yeah, I have it pulled up right here. Hopefully I get a shorter version. Not really. It's just, it's about the Bosnian War. I didn't know Alvatrati was a former member of Alice Cooper's touring band.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Anyways, it's a story about a person in the Bosnian War. Check it out, though. Not good Streets.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second best concept album they've released.
Really? Okay. All right, yeah. On to their next album here. I think we've said all we said or can say about them.
Yeah.
Dead Winter Dead, but their next album, The Wake of Magellan, from 1997.
This is 3 out of 3 ranking of concept albums.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gave it a C.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Because the title song was really the only song that stood out to me. Also, based off a play Paul O'Neill wrote again.
Mm-hmm.
Man, outside of just the songwriting on the last one, I don't know. I wouldn't even count that in what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this band really just feels like a shell of its former self since Chris died.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
Post 93, I just wasn't a huge fan.
They changed their sound a lot.
Yeah.
Which, they had Streets, which was a rock opera, but once Chris died, they changed their style to more of that, symphonic, power metal, rock opera type thing. So
And this was less to me. Not that this is a bad thing. I don't even know why I put this down, to be honest, but I'm gonna read it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
That yes, this was more theatrical and it was less metal and closer to progressive rock. It's not a bad thing. I'm not even.
Why you put it down?
Yeah, it's just something I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And I like concept albums, but even I wrote it down. I kind of miss the other stuff when every album wasn't a concept album.
Yeah.
This album just felt. This album is long. It felt long. Actually, it's really not that long. It's like 50 some minutes. Okay, it's kind of long. I just didn't really like this album. It just playing was good.
Yeah.
Not as good as it used to be.
No, this was an hour.
Oh, never mind. Yeah.
But yeah, and I know what you're saying. Yeah.
What is this like though? How many songs is this?
14.
Yeah. That's probably why it also feels long. I mean, we'll touch on the long albums in a minute, but I don't know. I just post 93, Savatage.
Mm-hmm. Not the same.
It's not the same. What'd you think?
That's fair. So, this album, I really enjoyed.
Ooh.
I gave it an A.
Ooh.
And yeah, it's the only album that I gave
an A to
of Savatage, an A to. Yeah. And I thought, I'm not a huge fan of concept albums, and I wasn't a huge fan of Savatage, but when I listened to this album, it kept me interested. The only song that I kind of was iffy about was "Complaint in the System." I thought it felt a little weird, not a place, but every other song turns to me. I really liked that melodic, hard rock sound that it had. I like Blackjack Guillotine, Paragons of Innocence, Undertone. Undertone, I think it was. That's the name of that song. Or Underture, sorry. It's a good song. The Wake of Magellan. Sorry, my handwriting is a little sloppy on this
one. I thought I was rubbing off on you here a minute.
Anymore was a good song. The Storm was a good song. The Hourglass I thought was a good song. I just really enjoyed listening to this album. I thought it had a lot of strong songs on here, and I think this is the album that's split into two, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Two different.
This might be an album I go back and listen to though. Because maybe this is one of those ones I didn't feel right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
But this one I might go back and check out,
re-listen to.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it when I listened to it. I didn't get bored at all.
We'll see how many albums the next week's band has if I have time to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I thought it was. I personally think it's their best album. For me.
Like in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then it would be Streets.
Yeah.
Like Edge of Thorns.
Man says he's not a big concept album, but his two favorites.
I'm
just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, and that was mostly before, I heard of these guys, when I'm listening to, especially metal and rock and hard stuff like that, a lot of those times the lyrics aren't a strong point. You're listening for the instruments, you're listening to the music, the song structure, stuff like that. So, when I had to focus on a band that's telling a story,
yeah,
when they're playing and whatever, it was different, and I enjoyed at least this album a lot.
Yeah.
More than I liked more songs off of here than I liked off of Streets.
I did hear people say that The Wake of Magellan is the best of 90s. Okay, maybe post 93.
Mm-hmm.
Savatage.
Mm-hmm.
But I also saw people it's kind of divided like we were, right? I feel like this album you either really like or you're not that high on.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'll have to come back and give this a re-listen to.
Mm-hmm.
But first go through, and I mean, like I said,
it's kind of okay.
Yeah. Like we said, we only do really
listen through once, give our impressions, and then discuss it from there.
I mean, even if I do go back and listen to an album, I don't really go back and write new notes.
Yeah.
Most all my notes are just from
the one listen.
The one listen.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. On to our next
and last
album here. Yep, by Savatage, Poets and Madmen, 2001. Ooh. I gave this album a B minus.
Ooh, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, this one, when I listen to it, it's another concept album.
I don't think this one's a concept album. Actually, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. It's 4. Sorry. No, Wake Magellan's still probably 3rd.
Yeah. And when I was listening to this album, I just did not feel it for some reason. Like, I was just listening to all these songs, and I was like...
Do you think it's because it's 11 songs in an hour and 4 minutes? 14 minutes?
Not necessarily, because my favorite song off this album is Morphine Child. And that's the longest song on the album. It's 10 minutes and 30-something seconds. So,
You just like the El Petretti solos, don't you?
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, because I think it was on this album.
I mean, I know World Needs a Hero is your favorite Megadeth album of all time.
100%.
Yeah.
Not really, no. It's like...
what do they have?
Really low.
16 albums. And it's probably towards the bottom of both our list.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, yeah, that was... When I was listening to these songs, they all just kind of bled together. I mean, it just... It was so long. They were so stretched out, I felt.
I feel like, I mean, even if you average it up, every song is like legit 6 minutes on average.
Mm-hmm. It's like a 90s Metallica album.
Dude, you're not kidding.
But Morphine Child is the only song that stood out to me that I really liked. When I listened to that, and I listened to it all the way through, and then I was like, man, that did not seem like 10 minutes. You know, I was listening to it, it's just, you know, it kept me interested throughout the whole thing. You know, it was long. I enjoyed it, and it didn't feel like a pain to listen to, you know, like with some long songs that just drag on.
Like
or they
Annihilator, the last 17 albums. Up 40.
Yeah, right. So, but I mean, it was just kind of a okay album. I really didn't. Morphine Child's the only one that stood out to me. I really didn't like any of the other songs. But what did you think of this album?
So my first note is these songs are really long, and we all know how I feel about
long songs.
Long songs for the most part. I guess a C. And I mean, I still really feel like Savatage post Chris' death are just a shell of what they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I was glad to see John back in vocals. He had last album, The Wake Magellan's the one where him and Stevens split.
Yeah, he did guest star.
I know you're not a big John fan, but I am. I like John.
Yeah, I
probably a little more than Stevens, but I do like. Stevens.
I like John when he's not doing the really high pitched stuff.
That's fair.
Yeah. So
this is definitely a more progressive feel to this album with John back, even though he wrote and played on basically every album.
Yeah.
Man, it's really the same thing I have to say about every post 1993. Man, I feel like we were better back in the day kind of guy, right?
It was only good when this person was here, you know.
It was only good pre-Black Album.
Oh, God.
Metallica's first 4 albums are the best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, anyways. Yeah, I just had a decent album with well-written songs, but nothing that stands out too much.
Yeah.
Kind of like the last 3 albums for me. Also, I can't remember who this concept album was on, but I've literally never heard of the dude. But I did say that this probably has the best guitar work of the last 3 albums.
Yeah. It has a lot of good guitar work on it, yeah. From Al Petrelli.
Actually, not all El Petretti. He leaves prior to recording this album.
That's right. Yeah.
But he does play the solo on Morphine Child. I know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was like, since you're a big World Needs a Hero fan.
Oh, God.
Who? They calling me?
Shut up, man.
Oh,
I can't wait till our Megadeth one.
They want to talk to me? Tell him I'm busy. I'll call him back. Oh, Dave. Simultaneously the greatest lyricist and the worst at the same time. God Also, shout out if you want to hear a terrible song. The World Needs to Hear by Megadeth. Tell them I'll call them back.
It's definitely on the lower side of Megadeth songs.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't really have much else to say about Poets and Madmen other than, it was decent.
Yeah.
It was a C.
I really didn't.
It was better than Cake.
I don't know about that, man. I really like a lot of Cake songs.
I got a lot of shit from people for not liking Cake that listen to our podcast. I'm not gonna lie.
Huh. I mean, I'm not
maybe
saying,
not shit, but
yeah,
a surprise.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you not like them as much as
I tell them it's because I have standards.
I've grown to.
I'm just kidding. Wow. I'm just kidding.
Wow. I mean, I've grown to like more of their stuff.
Yeah, no, we listened to that playlist at work together, and it was all. You told me there was more than Cake on there, but that was a lie.
There's like 45 songs on there, and it seemed
I had
like
to put Voyager on there, so we had a good song to listen to.
Oh my god! Don't even get me started on Voyager. Ugh. But yeah, it just seemed like it was nothing but Cake, even if it was on shuffle. I was like, come on, let's listen to something else. But
also, awesome feature that Spotify has, where you can listen to things.
Yeah, two separate people listen to the same playlist.
And you can queue up songs. Chilling out for the only company that hosts our podcast
right now.
Yeah. Anyways, overall, Savatage, however you want to pronounce their name.
What did you give them, Andy?
This is like an A.
An A.
Okay. Pre-1993, this is an A tier band to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's still overall A tier band. I just want to point on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, post 1993, maybe it's like a C plus, B minus, and I probably won't go back and listen to post 1993 Savatage. Although I do hear they might be working on a new album coming out this year, maybe because it's 20 years after. I don't know. They say that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is like an A tier. I love their early stuff. Hall of the Mountain King, Streets, Edge of Thorns, even Power of the Night. Sirens some. Fight for the Rock though.
Let's just skip that album.
Yeah. Oh, man. Like I said, makes me want to check out more power metal. Like I said, Nightwish will be one I'm coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe since I know you're a big fan, maybe not. I'll sub in something else right away. We'll get to it at some point though. Because there's a few other bands I want to check out that maybe I don't think either listen to. But yes, I wish Chris was survived.
Yeah.
I would love to see what they would have came out with. But I don't understand why. For how good they like the songwriting
so underrated.
How they're underrated just as a band. Yeah, and even him. His playing should be up there with the other top guys. Like I said earlier, I'm surprised he's not as named as high as it influences like Jeff Waters does. For someone who Jeff Waters in case
never heard of before, yeah.
I mean, I'm also surprised that Savatage's like first few albums even aren't also considered like classic 80s, Maybe it's just that Fight for Your Rock did kill that upward momentum they had. But no, I mean, also, you were talking last week that you made a playlist of songs. I started mine just a little bit ago, so it's not up at this moment. Well, by the time you listen to this, it'll be updated.
Yeah.
But it'll be pretty heavy Daft Punk and Savatage at this point.
Yeah. And I think it's good that we both do this just to, get that contrast between what we like, Obviously, I loved a lot more Cake and Fastball songs versus you, who pretty much didn't. You liked a few Fastball and like one or two Cake songs. But
I'm like everybody else in the world when they hear Fastball.
They're okay?
No. I love Out of Your Head.
Yeah.
They fire escape and you're an ocean.
Yeah.
They released other music? No,
right. No, ever since we did that album, I've been listening to a ton of Fastball, like all their other stuff too. So
plus too, I mean, we don't play music while we talk about, we sniff it, so you can go back and listen to the songs we talked about, the ones we liked. But no, I mean, like I said, I give this band an A.
Yeah.
It's not a top band. I'm not gonna listen to them all the time, but I do really like them. What do you think of them?
So with this band, I would give them like a B minus.
Yeah, the way you were, not to cut you off, but the way you were talking about like before we started this, you were like, man, this is gonna be rough for me. It's gonna be rough for me. So I was expecting like a cake level reaction
for you, like
for
what you had.
What I had for cake was
Yeah.
what you're gonna have. But then as you were giving them, so
yeah,
yeah,
and it was those first 4 albums, you know, Sirens, Power of the Night, Fight for the Rock, and Hall of the Mountain King. I don't like they were decent, but it just wasn't for me, you know.
Yeah.
But I will admit, I'm saying Out on the Streets, I've been listening to that song like a lot for the past couple of days since we've started listening to these. I don't know why, it's just really like the way that song sounds, the lyrics to it. So, but I personally, I think, you know, once they hit Edge of Thorns and Up, they've got better.
What about Streets?
Yeah, Streets. Sorry, my bad. Streets and Up, yeah.
Okay.
That's when they came into what I would consider is the band that Savatage is supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And really does make you think, though, what could have they been?
That's true, yeah. If Chris was still alive.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I mean, we both really like the band, clearly.
Mm-hmm. You more than me.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's just going to be anybody's pick, right? Like, when you pick the band, there's a higher chance you're going to like that band more than the other one of us, yeah. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting, though, when we get to one, like, where maybe we both have listened to, or it's, no, the other way around, where you pick and you're like, okay.
I don't know.
This wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of I had with Wolf Mother a bit, but I still like that. I mean, I gave one album an ass, but.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that was my pick. Next week, what are we listening to?
Next week, so previously we did Daft Punk, which is one of Andy's top
3.
You know,
let's not sugarcoat it. It's top 3.
Yeah, of his favorite bands. So I wanted to do a band for me that's comparable to Daft Punk to him.
Ooh.
Which
I think I know.
Yeah, which for me is Metallica.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, probably the biggest heavy metal band in the world, you know.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. So I think that'll be an exciting episode. We both, you know all the Metallica albums, but I think it'll be interesting to have, you know, good discussion about what we like, because I think I like them more than Andy.
I would agree with that too.
So, but we'll see, you know.
Yeah.
So
definitely check them out.
Yeah, check us out next week when we do Metallica.
Yeah, hey, if you made it this far, thanks for listening, guys. And, you know, talk to us, let us know what you think about the podcast too, or also recommend it to friends, family, random people on the streets, anybody. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Chill out the podcast.
Chill. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, thank you.